Hello traders, John at StockBookie.com. Today we're looking at the SPY, the IWM, the Qs, the DIA, and the IYT. We follow the daily, weekly, monthly time frames. We use technical analysis here at StockBookie.com. Go to my website, sign up for the free membership, or go down here in the right-hand bottom corner and subscribe to my YouTube channel. And guys, thanks for stopping by. I really do appreciate it. All right, so 59 million on the SPY daily chart, 0.75% up, or $1.82 on the day. It was a great gap up, guys. We talked about down, sideways, a little bit bearish pattern down in here. Bearish, micro bearish, but overall up and down sideways is macro bullish. Our big area was about 243.63, and remember the 243.20 area. You got to get above that too. So they popped it above all this resistance up here and even closed it above the red candle. So that is bullish. Next area 245.01, and then you're going to go retest this 250 area. Not retest, we never been there. So 250, then maybe 250, and then I would at this point 255. We're just going even numbers basically. You see what I'm doing there. And if this does pop up, we'll see how it reacts in this area. 247.50 will be an area as well. But first step 245.01. You got to get above that. If it can't do a nice push up and pop through, then we're going to wait for another pattern. Does it come up here and go sideways again, just like it did here? I mean, this thing's gone a month and a half sideways, guys. It's got to start popping up. It's a bullish pattern. We're back above the MAs. Let's see what happens. The only thing though, and with all my years, I mean, it's completely different with Yellen and everything. But when you're at these highs, a lot of time these patterns fail. When they fail, they do come down a little bit faster. So this thing's just been grinding, guys. I mean, if this pattern fails, that pattern didn't fail. This pattern probably won't. But if you look at the overall market, so it's it's not really like this push up. This was kind of a slow grind up. It's still going up, still making higher lows here. But this is your big trend line here that you're watching out if you are bearish or bullish. If you're bullish, we get back below and we get to this and it starts going, you got to stop out. Bullish, you got to keep going. It gets above the 245, you want to see it close in here and continue up. If this thing comes back, slips in, this is your big area. The bulls, if you crack that, and most likely you're going to go down to 200 MA. So just be careful. We are in a good stance to move higher. So don't worry too much. Keep an eye on volume though. Volume picks up, we get 150 million on the day. Then we could see some possible selling. If it stays around the 50 million, 60 million, this thing will possibly grind higher. So right now we got one pop up, still in a sideways stance. Let's see if it goes sideways or does it continue up to attack the high. We'll know more tomorrow and on Friday. And volume was still light. It was a little bit better. We've been doing 55. We did 60 today with after hours action. I think we had only 45 on the day. We had 15 million after hours. So going to the IWM though, guys. This one's trying. I mean, I'll give it credit. It's trying for the highs, and just can't do it. Made a nice push up today, came in, filled the gap, and right back down. So if you are bullish on the IWM, back above the MAs, good stance. We talked about down and sideways, a little bit bearish. Then we usually get this little pop out where they shake everybody down, fill the gap. Let's see if we come right back in. If we do come right back in, then I think we're going to head for lower prices. Big area for the bears, got to close below the 20 and the 50 MA, get past this pivot, then I think we'll come down right down in here in the 134 area. If this goes sideways above the MAs and starts building pressure, we'll go shoot for the, 142.90, 52-week high, and then we'll go for this trend line here around 143, then 145, then 150 if this thing keeps going. Earnings season coming up, so who knows with this one. Do we kind of grind down on earnings because they're mediocre, or do we fly up on earnings because everything's coming in great and the economy's rolling at this point? So watch for this though. It was a little bit push up and then they pushed it right back down, back above the MA, strong stance. Volume was okay, pretty much the same as yesterday, a little bit heavier, but still chopping around though above the MAs. Bullish pattern, setting up for higher prices if it can get through this overhead resistance. Let's go to the Qs. Qs 1.19% up, or 1.65 on the day. Gosh, it was chopping around this area. It did the same thing though, guys. We popped up above the MAs, then it came right back in. So let's see. Look at this though. We run into the MAs, guys, and what do we always say? Instead of dealing with the resistance, the gap window, gap fill up here. Actually, it stopped right there, but look at that. Just gap it up and see if they could get this thing up and close it above the gap fill here, which it didn't. Pretty much closed right on top of it. So you're not out of the woods yet on this trade if you're long. And look at this one here too, guys. We had this trend line. I have it at my shop. But I'm at home right now doing videos, but look at that. So that's where it stopped to at that trend line. So let's see if we could Gap up again. Next area will be the high pivot here. If we can close above this high pivot, bulls, 142.16, that can continue up. You have a little W pattern. They usually play better at lows, but it's a little bit strong pattern. You're at the top. You're above the MA, so let's see if we could get you up on this thing. Now, if this thing just comes right back in and reverses and comes right back down, that will be weak, and then we'll watch for a break of this level. This level breaks. We're going to come down here, fill some gaps. I still think we can possibly come down to the 127 for the bulls. I think we could go to 150, possibly 155. But the first area, of course, the 143.90, we cracked through that because we had the big sell candle here with big volume. You can't go up on, 36 million or 30 million. You got to get a nice push up like this green candle here to hold this thing up for the next 2-3 weeks or whatever it did. So watch for this area. Great retrace back up. Let's see if we get above gap fill, go to the high pivot, and then possibly higher prices. If it slips, comes down, gets back below, hits this pivot, then we'll probably heading down here. So 127 for this one, and then 150, maybe a little higher for the bulls. So watch for those areas, guys. Volume was okay. Watch for volume picking up too. If the volume does pick up on these overall indexes, we will be selling. Let's look at the DIA daily chart. 21. Let's see. What do we have? 2 million on the day. So volume's picking up on this thing. Look at that nice gap up too. We got to the highs, but we did not close at the all-time highs. It made a new intraday high, but it never closed above. Remember, 220, 225, 230 area up in here. If we could get up in there, then we could possibly go higher to that 230, 233. We do have an upsloping trend line. I don't have it in this one, but let's see if this bullish pattern above the MA starts breaking up here. It's got to start going, guys. I want to see more volume too. This 2 million, 1.5 million garbage. I want to see a good push up. Is that, let's see, one. Yeah, they had pretty good volume today. I can't complain, but I want to see a good push up, guys. Let this thing rock and roll. Little tiny topping tail though. Gosh, not the best, not the worst, but you get that gap up. That's interesting right there. It's got to get above this high and continue higher, guys, and attack that 220. If we get back below these pivots and this 20 MA down in here, this is the 211, and then again this has it. They all have trend lines too, guys. These start breaking, we will be coming down to the 200 MA. I still believe we're coming down to the November lows. It's just a matter of when. So, but right now, guys, above the MAs, strong stance, nothing wrong. Keep an eye on the volume. Let's see what happens with more news. When we see what happens when Trump news comes out and it's bad, markets tend to dump. So watch for that. If you guys are active traders, follow him on Twitter. See, he's something else. Let me tell you. IYT. So IYT are the transports, guys. Here we are. We made a new intraday high today. Remember, we said this thing was lagging. Gosh, we closed right on top of the all-time high. So let's see if we can continue sideways. This was a nice reversal, popped right back up. We talked about that. 20, 50, 200, we're above that, chopping around. 175, 180, 185, I wouldn't rule it out. I'm thinking the transports go to 10,000 maybe. We're 500 points away. It's still a big move away, but my gosh, this thing just keeps grinding, guys. We're above the MAs, bullish stance. Again, will this pattern fail and we come back down? I don't know. If you are bullish or on any of these, or if you got these great trades, guys, just tighten stops. You get a lot of traders at if they caught this low down in here at 157 or so, you're at 174. That's a hell of a trade. People are going to take profit. So let's see if we can grind up on light volume. I mean, look at the volume though today though. That was the one thing. I mean, it just disappeared on this one today, and they grinded it. It was a gap up, and then it was just a float pretty much the rest of the day. Let's look at this thing. So this is the intraday, gap up and just a float. Look at that. Gosh, it's so lame. So watch for that. Daily chart, nothing wrong, not lagging, starting to lead the way now. IYT, it's got to lead. All the technicians talk about that, and all of a sudden it's leading. So it's like magic, guys. So just be buoyant in these markets. If you are long, trail those stops. Watch out. You don't want to get a couple nasty days down, and you had a great trade and you turned it into a turd. So watch for that. All right, guys. Again, thanks for stopping by. If you're not subscribed to my YouTube, just punch it up down there. And again, thanks for stopping by. Really appreciate it. Have a great night. God bless. See you on the charts.